flying this wing 24/7 for the best part of a week now, through the night and the rest of it. Have you learned a lot more than you expected about the wing? Has that been a useful time for you, or has it just been a babysitting program?
On the mooring?
Yeah.
No, it's really been babysitting. I mean, if babysitting King Kong is called babysitting, it's been a little bit unnerving at times, but we've survived, and I think we're okay.
Alberto, how about if we cycle through the photos, and then I'll come over to Jim Doyle in a moment. Excuse me, guys. Why don't we cycle through, and maybe we can get the other three gang, while we've got them here, to comment on each of these. These were, I don't know if Jane selected these or you selected these. Can you comment on what's going on in each of these shots, one of you? Who wants to do this first one? Is this the famous PDA, as Cam Marshall or Cam Lewis was calling it?
Well, just before dockout, so that's Nino. That's one of the people who's working with Mac. And it's jumping on the boat before going out, and what he's doing is, you have the several PDAs, you can see one of his hands, another two sitting here. And it's Sailor, and even Jimmy has a PDA sitting here around the arm, and all the data from the mind processor is being sent to the sailors, and they have several pages and graphs, so they can just monitor all the information, whatever they are. So they are they're wireless, so it's what he's doing right now. Just being sure that everything is working before he gives the gadgets to the guys. And the other thing you can see here is it's a screen. That's the navigator screen, and that's where all the system, he can control the systems, the alarms on the boat, the navigator, the tactical software, and also he can change the pages that Jimmy is looking in the nets.
So who physically does that? Is that something Matteo does as the navigator? How does that work? Who making the switching of the screen?
Yeah, it's Matteo.
Matteo Plazzi is the navigator, switching. When Jimmy says, he said the other day, I'd like screen, then Matteo brings up that screen.
Yeah, he has several pages. What we'll explain better, but there's different pages depending if we are doing boat testing or we are just doing racing. So he can have a pre-start screen, and he has the notes of the boat. And we have also a system that the monitors things that we don't want to forget about, and when something goes beyond the limits or close to the limits, it appears on the screen. So
they know what the problem is if an alarm goes off because it loads somewhere in the boat. Interesting. Jose Luis, do you want to add to that?
No, basically is Jimmy has in the nets three main pages. There's the one for the pre-start, another for the loads and the testing, and another one for all the performance in the boat and in the wing. And Matteo is selecting, depending on the situation of the race, the piece that Jimmy look up in the nets. And also in the PDA, every sailor can choose what the information wants in his PDA. It's completely flexible.
Eduardo, how about this one? Do you want to handle this?
Yeah, well, I don't know if you can see it very well from where you guys are sitting, but it's essentially it's the button control. This is very nice, designed by Mark, and essentially what it does, Mark did, yeah, this buttons panel is his creation, and what it does is it sends commands to our hydraulic system. We've got a PLC on board.
What does a PLC mean?
A PLC is if you want, is an industrial computer, and this is a device that essentially is used to control all the hydraulics on board. It controls we've got an engine on board, that its main role is to push hydraulic fluid through the different systems, winch and cylinders, and with this panel, the navigator or crew member chooses what function he wants to activate.
Mark, anything to add, or should we go to the next slide?
Yeah, we also have some of the trimmers use the remote control for this function as well. And some people have been asking what a garage remote is, and that's a remote control.
Yeah, we had Cheese here a couple days ago, talked about your famous keep it simple exercise with the garage door. And you've got some buttons. Do you want to talk about the buttons, or is that not really the electronics department?
Now, Those are the same as you'd see on any sort of super yacht. We just adapted them for our on board, and they're just your simple buttons to control your winches.
So here's another view of really the same gear, right? The PDA and somebody, you want to take us through that? Mark?
Yeah, there again is that's Cheese. He's just setting up his doing his morning checks. So he's got his PDA on and just setting up his controlling. I think that'll be the camber arm there.
And the famous head-up display.
Yeah. Yeah, there's the Ned on Jimmy's right eye. And that's, as we've talked about, to let him see all the data that he requires.
Does that require a particular set of sunglasses, or he gave a plug for his Prada sunglasses last night at the press conference? I noticed.
He seems to prefer them in those glasses.
He does. So that works particularly well with this product.
Yeah, we've got several pairs, so I'm pretty sure that.
Oh, he owes me at least one drink, if not two. What's the next slide? Anything more? Who wants to cover this one? Well, that looks like what? John Kostecki.
Yeah, well, one thing you can probably see there is some of his audio gear wrapped around his ear, as well as allowing them to communicate on board amongst themselves. We actually bring up all the alarms and some of the data functions into the audio system, just so there's extra data without confusion.
And one of John's key roles, of course, as the tactician on the boat, is to be talking with our team meteorologist, Chris Bedford, in the period leading up to the 5-minute signal. After the 5-minute signal, all the communications from outside the yacht under the racing rules must cease, right, Mr. Lewis?
That's correct.
That is correct, and that's obviously very crucial stuff. Anyone want to talk about, well, we got one more slide. Go ahead, Alberto, please. That's who? Alan Smith? Simone, is it? What's going on? Simone, or what's going on here, Mike or Mark?
I think we've obviously got a problem. I wouldn't classify that as regular. No, I think Simone he often gets his earpiece stuck in his ear, so maybe they're just sorting that out.
So Jimmy's helping Simone here, not the other way around. How about the backpack? We talked a little bit about that the other day. Can you shed any light on that's computer and a battery to run the heads-up display?
Yeah, that's just some of the hardware to go with the NEDs.
With the net. Okay. Jimmy, would you know?
I'm wondering just how fragile or vulnerable the wing is in strong winds or gusty winds, and also in heavy seas or confused seas. And related to that, whether its control is dependent on electronics and hydraulics?
Maybe Mike, just take us through from the moment that he pushes, again, without obviously giving away any secrets, from the moment that Cheese pushes a button until the flap moves or something moves, how does that all happen? Maybe that would be of interest.
Yeah, to answer your first question, well, I can tell you it's been robust enough so far, and we've sailed in up to, I think, 27 knots with the wing, which is somewhat more than we initially were thinking we would use it in. The performance in those conditions has been somewhere between very good and pretty good, so we're happy with that. In terms of handling it on the mooring, the main restriction is really just how shifty the wind is. If it gets a big wind shift, it takes some time to react, and the boat tends to skate around a bit. But just pure wind strength, I'm not very concerned about it. I mean, it's built out of similar materials you build in an aeroplane wing, and they fly at, say, 100 knots. So we can withstand quite strong winds if it's feathered.